Imagine the grandeur of imperial Rome, the colossal amphitheaters echoing with the roar of the crowd, the opulent villas shimmering under the Mediterranean sun, the emperors themselves, draped in purple, embodying the very essence of power. Yet, beneath this veneer of glory, a hidden world existed, shrouded in secrecy and silence. A world where the lives of countless individuals were consumed by a system that valued them not as people, but as commodities. This is the story of the male concubines of imperial Rome, a narrative largely unexplored, yet crucial to understanding the complexities of Roman society and its moral ambiguities. We often picture ancient Rome through the lens of its military might, its sophisticated legal system, its artistic achievements, but the reality was far more nuanced, far more shadowed. The lives of these men, often acquired through coercion or sold into servitude by impoverished families, were marked by a profound lack of agency and freedom. Their existence was one of exploitation, their bodies and affections subject to the whims of their powerful masters. This was a world where the lines between pleasure, power, and possession blurred into a morally ambiguous landscape. Their stories, however, remain largely untold, lost to the sands of time, erased from official records, deliberately silenced by a society that preferred to ignore the uncomfortable truths lurking beneath its glittering surface. This exploration, therefore, is not just a historical investigation, it is an act of remembrance, an attempt to give voice to the voiceless, to shed light on the forgotten corners of the Roman Empire. We will delve into the lives of these men, tracing their journeys from vulnerable youth to their often tragic fates, seeking to understand their experiences, their hopes, and their enduring legacy. By uncovering their stories, we gain a deeper understanding of the true nature of power, the pervasiveness of exploitation, and the enduring human cost of empire. This is a journey into the shadows, a journey into the heart of a silenced history, a history that deserves to be heard. For within their silent suffering lies a profound reflection on the very nature of humanity and the enduring fragility of life in the face of unchecked power. Prepare to confront a reality far removed from the marble monuments and idealized narratives that typically define our understanding of ancient Rome. The truth, as we shall see, is far more complex, far more disturbing, and far more human. The legal landscape surrounding male concubines in ancient Rome is, to put it mildly, murky. Surprisingly, Roman law contained no specific statutes directly addressing their status. This absence of clear legal definition, rather than protecting them, created a fertile ground for exploitation. The very lack of specific laws allowed for a vast gray area, where the rights and protections afforded to other individuals simply didn't apply. This legal vacuum effectively rendered these men vulnerable to the whims and desires of those in power. The social perception of these boys further complicated their situation. Roman society, at least in its public image, championed a robust ideal of masculinity, strength, stoicism, military prowess. Yet, the existence of male concubinage reveals a stark contradiction, a hidden reality at odds with the idealized image. These boys, often cast as objects of desire and pleasure, existed outside the accepted norms of Roman manhood, their identities shaped by their enforced servitude rather than their own volition. The practice of male concubinage transcended social classes. While emperors and the elite certainly indulged in such practices, it wasn't limited to the upper echelons of society. Wealthy citizens, and even those of more modest means, could and did participate in this system, further highlighting its pervasive nature and the widespread normalization of exploitation. This wasn't confined to a singular social circle. Rather, it was woven into the very fabric of Roman life. A testament to the deep-seated power imbalances and the casual disregard for the well-being of the most vulnerable members of society. The legal ambiguity ensured a lack of protection and accountability, fostering an environment where abuse could flourish, largely unchecked. The silence surrounding their legal status speaks volumes about the societal values of the time and the inherent inequalities embedded within the structure of Roman society. This lack of legal protection contributed significantly to the vulnerability and exploitation of these individuals, showcasing a system that prioritized the desires of the powerful over the rights of the marginalized. The absence of legal clarity serves as a chilling reminder of the inherent injustices that can thrive in the shadows of even the most sophisticated legal systems. The acquisition of boys for concubinage was a brutal process, often targeting the most vulnerable members of society. Orphans, abandoned children, and those from impoverished families were particularly susceptible. Sold into servitude by desperate parents, or simply abducted, these boys were stripped of their agency and forced into a life of servitude, their childhood stolen before they even had a chance to bloom. The system preyed on their vulnerability, exploiting their lack of power and their desperate need for survival. The grooming process that followed was a calculated campaign of manipulation and control. These young boys were systematically trained to fulfill their designated roles, their bodies and minds molded to suit the desires of their masters. This involved a complex system of physical and emotional conditioning, designed to instill obedience and suppress any hint of resistance. The process was often brutal, leaving lasting psychological scars. Eunuchs played a significant role in this system, often acting as intermediaries and overseers. Their own unique position within society, marked by castration and social marginalization, paradoxically granted them a degree of power and influence in the management and control of male concubines. They were the gatekeepers, responsible for training, discipline, and the allocation of the boys to their respective owners. While no explicit religious or philosophical justifications for male concubinage are readily apparent in written sources, it's crucial to consider the broader socio-cultural context. The casual acceptance of slavery, the hierarchical nature of Roman society, and the prevailing attitudes towards sexuality all contributed to the normalization of these practices. The silence surrounding these practices, the lack of legal recourse, and the power dynamics at play all combined to create a system of exploitation that operated largely unchecked, highlighting a dark undercurrent within the seemingly glorious empire. The vulnerability of these boys, and the manipulative tactics employed to control them, serve as a stark reminder of the brutality and injustice inherent in this little-known aspect of Roman history. The systematic exploitation of these children reveals a chilling reality that casts a long shadow over the Gilded Age of imperial Rome. The lives of male concubines in imperial Rome were characterized by a pervasive atmosphere of fear and control. Their existence unfolded behind closed doors, hidden from public view, a stark contrast to the grandeur and spectacle of Roman life that unfolded outside their confined worlds. Physical abuse was commonplace, a tool used to maintain obedience and suppress any attempts at resistance. The constant threat of violence hung heavy in the air, a chilling reminder of their utter powerlessness. The psychological toll was perhaps even more devastating. These boys were systematically stripped of their agency, their identities reduced to their function as objects of desire. Isolated from their families and their past, they were often denied any sense of community or belonging. The complete lack of autonomy, coupled with the ever-present threat of abandonment or further abuse, created a climate of profound insecurity and despair. Secrecy was paramount in maintaining this system of exploitation. The lives of these boys were deliberately concealed, shielded from public scrutiny. Their existence was a carefully guarded secret, a shameful truth that the Roman elite preferred to ignore. This secrecy was meticulously maintained through a combination of threats, intimidation, and the power imbalances inherent in the system. The very nature of their existence, their vulnerability, and the power wielded by their masters all contributed to the culture of silence that shrouded their lives. The methods used to control these boys were both subtle and brutal. Isolation served as a potent tool, cutting them off from any external support or the possibility of escape. Threats, both explicit and implicit, served to reinforce their powerlessness and maintain their compliance. The pervasive atmosphere of fear, coupled with the constant threat of violence and abandonment, ensured that these boys remained trapped within a system designed to control every aspect of their lives. This systematic suppression of their individuality, this relentless campaign of control, created an environment of profound psychological trauma. leaving lasting scars that extended far beyond their physical confinement. The grim reality of their existence underscores the dark side of power and the devastating consequences of unchecked dominance. The carefully constructed facade of secrecy surrounding male concubinage in imperial Rome was occasionally shattered, revealing the brutal reality beneath. These exposures often occurred amidst the swirling currents of political intrigue, where accusations and counteraccusations could expose hidden liaisons and the darker aspects of power. Sometimes, accidental discoveries, perhaps during a raid or a palace investigation, brought this hidden world into the harsh light of day. The consequences of these exposures were swift and brutal. The boys, caught in the crossfire of political machinations, were often subjected to further violence and upheaval. Discarded like broken toys, they were scattered and displaced, their lives thrown into further chaos. The system offered them no protection, no legal recourse, no safety net to catch them as their world crumbled around them. The lack of legal protection for these boys is particularly striking. Roman law, with all its complexity and sophistication, offered them no refuge, no avenue for justice, no hope of redress. They were effectively invisible within the legal system, their suffering ignored, their pleas unheard. Their vulnerability was compounded by their marginalized status, leaving them utterly at the mercy of those in power. The scattering and displacement of these boys following exposure highlight the precariousness of their existence. With no legal protection or social safety net, they were left adrift, vulnerable to exploitation and abuse, their futures uncertain and bleak. Their stories, largely undocumented, remain a testament to the fragility of life for those on the margins of Roman society. The violent upheavals that followed these exposures underscore the brutality of the system and the utter lack of compassion shown to its victims. Their fates, shrouded in the shadows of history, serve as a chilling reminder of the injustices and vulnerabilities inherent in a society that tolerated such widespread exploitation. The fleeting moments of exposure only serve to momentarily illuminate the darkness before the veil of secrecy once again descended, obscuring the suffering and silencing the voices of the forgotten boys of imperial Rome. The story of male concubines in imperial Rome, though distant in time, resonates with chilling relevance in the modern world. The methods of exploitation, the systematic abuse, and the enduring psychological trauma inflicted on these boys find disturbing echoes in contemporary issues of child exploitation, human trafficking, and the abuse of vulnerable youth. The parallels are unsettlingly clear. The secrecy surrounding the abuse, the manipulation of vulnerable individuals, and the power dynamics at play mirror the tactics employed in modern forms of exploitation. The isolation of victims, the use of threats and intimidation, and the systematic grooming of children to fulfill the desires of their abusers are all tragically familiar themes. The lasting psychological scars inflicted on victims, the difficulties in recovery, and the challenges in breaking the cycle of abuse remain a constant reminder of the enduring impact of such crimes. The vulnerability of children, their lack of agency, and the ease with which they can be exploited remain unchanged across millennia. The absence of legal protection, the silence surrounding the abuse, and the complicity of those in positions of power all contribute to the persistence of these horrific practices. The similarities between the systems of control, the methods of abuse, and the devastating consequences for victims underscore the timeless nature of these crimes and the enduring need for vigilance and protection. The study of the past, therefore, serves as a powerful tool for understanding the present. By examining the historical context of male concubinage in imperial Rome, we can gain a deeper appreciation for the complexities of modern forms of exploitation and the ongoing need for effective strategies to combat these crimes. The echoes of the past serve as a stark reminder of the enduring vulnerability of children and the urgent need for continued efforts to protect them from harm. The lessons learned from the shadows of imperial Rome must illuminate our path towards a safer and more just future for vulnerable youth everywhere. The historical record has largely failed these boys. Their stories, their voices, their very existence have been systematically erased, swallowed by the vast and often self-serving narratives of imperial Rome. The lack of documentation, the deliberate silencing of their experiences, is a testament to the power of societal structures to obscure uncomfortable truths. Their suffering, their trauma, their lives remain largely unknown, relegated to the shadows of history, but their silence should not be our silence. Remembering and acknowledging their suffering is not merely an act of historical justice. It is a crucial step in preventing similar abuses from happening again. To reclaim their narratives, to give voice to their unspoken pain, is to confront the darker aspects of our shared past and to learn from the mistakes of those who came before us. The act of remembering extends beyond the individual stories of these boys. It is about acknowledging the systemic inequalities that allowed such exploitation to flourish, the complicity of those in power, and the devastating consequences of societal indifference. It is about recognizing the broader implications of remembering hidden histories, of challenging dominant narratives, and of amplifying the voices of those who have been silenced. By acknowledging the lives and suffering of these forgotten boys, we not only honor their memory, but also reaffirm our commitment to protecting vulnerable individuals in the present. Their story serves as a potent reminder that the fight against exploitation, abuse, and injustice is an ongoing struggle, requiring constant vigilance and a steadfast commitment to justice. Their forgotten voices, though faint echoes in the corridors of time, demand to be heard. Let us listen, let us remember, let us learn. The lives of male concubines in imperial Rome represent a hidden, often ignored, chapter of history. Their stories, though largely undocumented, reveal a brutal reality of exploitation, abuse, and systematic silencing. The absence of legal protection, the complicity of those in power, and the societal structures that enabled this widespread abuse underscore the deep-seated inequalities that pervaded Roman society. The lasting impact of this system extended far beyond the individual suffering of its victims, shaping societal norms and attitudes towards power, vulnerability, and justice. The parallels between this historical phenomenon and contemporary issues of child exploitation, human trafficking, and the abuse of vulnerable youth serve as a stark reminder of the enduring nature of these crimes. The methods of control, the secrecy surrounding the abuse, and the devastating psychological consequences for victims remain tragically consistent across millennia. Remembering these forgotten lives is not merely an act of historical remembrance, it is a crucial step in understanding the enduring challenges of protecting vulnerable individuals and combating systemic injustices. The systematic erasure of these boys' experiences highlights the importance of reclaiming their narratives and challenging dominant historical narratives. Their stories, though fragmented and incomplete, offer invaluable insights into the complexities of power, exploitation, and the enduring struggle for justice. By acknowledging their suffering, we honor their memory and reaffirm our commitment to preventing similar abuses in the future. The legacy of silence surrounding their lives should not be allowed to continue. Their stories demand to be heard, their experiences acknowledged, and their suffering remembered. The often overlooked history of male concubinage in imperial Rome serves as a potent reminder that the fight against injustice is a continuous and evolving struggle. The echoes of the past continue to resonate in the present, urging us to remain vigilant, compassionate, and committed to protecting the vulnerable in our own time. The lessons learned from this often ignored chapter of history must inform and guide our actions today, ensuring that the suffering of the forgotten boys of imperial Rome serves as a catalyst for positive change, preventing similar tragedies from ever being repeated.